Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Warframe Ninja podcast. I'm your host, British Bob, and today I have with me Awesome.
Hello.
And Trace.
Hey folks, it's Trace.
You've met them both before, so we'll get right into it.
Wake up, Tenno!
Just a quick advert before we start. We're all from Angels of Death. You can find us on the Warframe Forums or at a site, clanaod.net. Come join us. We've got plenty of games and TeamSpeak and plenty of fun. So, 17.5 dropped. It's been a massive update.
Yeah, this is going to be a strange episode since there's no dev stream to speak of. So I guess we're going to talk about some of the 17.5 additions and changes. It's most likely that within the hour and a half that we try to stay within, we're not gonna even touch the surface of this thing. It was a huge update, and there's been a lot of changes. But we're going to try to talk about some of the things that we've experienced up to this point, and hopefully it'll be something that you guys are curious about knowing.
I think one of the challenges with this update between when it came out and now when we're recording is there was so much in it that we didn't have time to actually experiment with all of the changes that came with this new update. So we're just kind of hit some of the highlights of 17.5 patch.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess one of the biggest things on 17.5 I've grouped up with, but I haven't, it's still building in my foundry right now, is Atlas. So I guess before we get into the actual frame himself, do you guys want to talk about the process in which we get Atlas and how that experience was?
I've not actually tried it yet. I threw Platinum at the screen and brought him. The reason why I haven't tried it is because I'm going to use the quest line and subsequent Juggernaut kills to overlay on this for YouTube. So I'll have to leave that to you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I went through the pain that was acquiring Atlas, and I think DE did a smart and challenging thing. Is they took the planet which I believe in is probably the most unpopular, Eris, because the maps are kind of tough to navigate, especially for new players. And they made that the stomping ground of getting Atlas. So you had to navigate through a lot of those maps and then deal with the Juggernaut. And on top of that, because if you haven't experienced the Juggernaut mission, spoiler alert, the first half is a normal Warframe mission, and the last part of the boss, the Juggernaut, is Arcwing. So I actually had to buff up what little Arcwing mods I had and get some help from some clan members to help finish him off to get the parts.
yeah, all in all, I don't think that it was a bad quest. I think that this, in comparison to like Mesa quest or even the Mirage quest, this was really short. Like, it did not take, with the exception of waiting for your Fairlac pods to, or the potent Fairlac pods to craft. This was a really quick quest, and I mean, like the last one, Warframe that came out at was it Equinox. She was, we had the different parts for her, and you had what eight parts altogether. So I mean, that was getting all those parts was definitely a time involved challenge. But this one, it was what, 2 missions, and it was pretty much over.
Yeah, I think 3.
Was it 3? Okay. I do know that I already, from the event with the Juggernaut Behemoth, I ended up having like 131 Fairlac pods. So I don't know if that advanced me in some way to the next stage, but I guess it didn't really matter anyways, because I guess the Jordas said that the pods that I had weren't potent enough to begin with. But I do know that once I finished that first part of the quest, I ran, right to my foundry, and I tried pulling, tried crafting the potent Fairlock pods, and I couldn't find them. And I'm like, what the hell? That I was thinking that the quest was bugged, and I didn't even consider. I was going back to my codex and looking in there, and it's telling me on my navigation screen to go to the foundry and craft the potent Fairlock pods, and it may seem idiotic of me. I never even checked my inbox. I don't think that it was a smart part by DE to deliver the potent blueprint to us that way, but it took me like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes of like freaking out thinking I bugged the quest before I realized that it was in my inbox waiting for me. So
And I think that's just one of the things that maybe they'll hopefully change in the future, is give that little alert kind of that pops up to check your inbox when that happens. Because I think I stumbled upon it just kind of accidentally, and I'm like, oh, that's how the quest advances. But I think the hardest part for me as a semi-new player, because I've been playing since July, was definitely the Arcwing portion. And thankfully, a really amazing clan, jumped in to help me get the pieces I need for Atlas, because I found out a few things. First of all, I die a lot in Arcwing.
yeah, you do.
And secondly, rezzing people in Arcwing is, I guess that's a learned skill, because I always overshoot people, and by the time I get to them, yeah, they're bleeding out, and I'm getting bombarded with rockets or something. So the majority of the time on the Juggernaut boss, I'd spent just trying to avoid any of the electrical shocks, dying, and then trying to avoid waves of rockets from enemies. But I'd say it was about 50-50 survival rate for me. And I think that's good. It's a challenge for the players to, okay, you really have to step up your Arcwing if you want to get this Warframe. And it was enjoyable. I don't mind Arcwing. I know some people are not a big fan, but it's definitely piqued my interest in what else I can advance on the Arcwing side of things.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who really does not like Arcwing. I said this in previous podcasts, the fact that it's not part of missions. I have to go out of my way to play Arcwing really puts me off.
Well, just a quick tip on Trace's point there. I just want to let any of the new Arcwing players out there know, when it comes to rezzing, it's just a matter of timing. You don't have to come to a complete stop at the corpse or whatever, at the body you're trying to revive. If you run towards the person that's down, if you run towards them full speed and you time hitting that X button right, just at the time that you're basically about to be hovering over the person that needs to be revived, you just press X and hold it down. Your character, your Arcwing and Warframe will just keep going. But if you're holding down that X button, it will start the res, and as long as you don't let go of the X for any amount of time, it'll continuously start reviving them. So just a tip for the new Arcwing players out there.
Good. And for those who didn't read the patch notes, getting to fallen players is now quicker with the afterburn ability. If you hit shift and space at the same time, you'll kick on your afterburners. I'm sorry, jump. Yeah, shift
you hold
the space bar.
Yeah, you hold shift for your sprint, and then you just press spacebar, hold spacebar down, and it initiates the afterburners, which is pretty cool, because even now the Electron is fast now, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because those maps are huge.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but getting back to the Atlas quest, it was a good fight. It was a good quest. Like I said, it was pretty short, but it wasn't that bad. So, what do you think, Trace?
I think there was fun lore behind it. I mean, from my understanding, from what I could piece together, it looked like a Cephalon got corrupted by the Juggernaut or some, infested creature, and you destroy.
Spoiler alert.
sorry, spoiler alert. You know, the Cephalon was infested by the Juggernaut or some infested creature, and you're kind of freeing him from that. So that was really cool, you know, to piece that together. I thought it was a bit fast. I mean, I'm sure they could have made ways to draw the quest out a bit more, but all in all, it's really fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. I did it a couple times, and just to catch the story, I mean, it did go fast, and just to catch the story, I had to do it a couple times because you know a lot of the talk back and forth between Jordis and Ordis happens while you're in the thick of a battle, and you have to, you know, I'm not very good at multitasking, so it's either I pay attention to that and not so much killing the Juggernaut, or I, you know, pay attention to killing the Juggernaut and miss some of the conversation between the two. But
Hmm.
overall, it wasn't bad, and I guess we'll talk more about the J3 Golem in a little bit. Or does that pretty much covers it, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
he was a tough boss, but if you have the right setup, I was running the Velocitus or Velictus or whatever the Archwing, the charge weapon is called. But
Hmm.
you just all I was doing was just scooching over to, you know, I put on my Itzel, and you know, while that the beginning pops up where it's showing him off, or it's showcasing the new boss or whatever, you can press the Q button and bring up your energy drop menu. So I would just drop two energy pads while I was waiting for that little that intro to go through. And by the time we were able to take control of our Archwings, I was full energy. And since I was in the Itzel, I just blinked to the back of the golem and charged up my weapon, and I just kept shooting right inside the exhaust. And the whole time, I just followed him around, and charging up the weapon and shooting him in the exhaust over and over again. And basically, the other three players, which is like Trace and some of the other clannies, I helped him do finish this off, but they would basically keep the other enemies busy while I was fighting off the golem. But we were able to. What's that?
That's a really polite way of saying rocket bait.
Well, you were, because I wasn't really getting hit. I mean, you guys were taking all the damage and everything. You guys were the ones that were dying, and I was just basically hiding behind the golem the whole time, shooting him.
It's not rocket bait. It's called teamwork.
That's, from my experience, it was a little bit of a different emotion, but yeah, that teamwork. We'll call it that.
So we've gone through how to actually get Atlas. What do you actually think of him?
I didn't play him yet. Like I said, he's still in my foundry at the moment. So I've been in groups with him so far, and I have seen some impressive stuff, and I've seen some stuff that is not so great. Like, me personally, from what I've seen of him so far, he looks like definitely one of the kind of frames that you're going to play a support role in. I don't see him being much of a soloer kind of frame, or I know like Loki is. I see him more as like a Frost type, where he, you know, there's situational uses. But I'm not the expert, so you guys have both played him. Let's hear what you guys have to think.
Go for it, Bob.
Well, I've only got him to about level 8, so I've only got his first 2 abilities. I really like that first ability, I'm not going to lie, it's satisfying.
What is his first ability?
Charging across the room and punching them in the face.
Is that like Excalibur Prime /dash or Rhinos?
Yeah, it's the old multicast, bang, bang, AoE, sort of punch them in the face type thing.
Do you like bounce between targets, or is it one target per cast?
It's an AoE. It does have AoE. It's a target ability, so you have to have a target to do it, unlike /dash. But you basically aim at someone. If you're in range, press it. You fly forward, punch them, which has a small AoE effect on it. Do it a second time to maybe a different enemy, same thing happens, but then when you do a third enemy, it's got a nice AoE knockdown effect on it.
Now, do you have to have an enemy in order to activate it?
You do, yes.
Okay. So it's kind of like a soul punch, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of soul punch and slash dash.
Okay.
His number 2 is definitely situational. The first part, the tectonics is the name of it, creates a rock wall, and then you can push that rock wall forward and have it crush enemies. And I think this will be used best, like let's say you got a hallway with a whole bunch of Corpus or Grineer, shooting at you. If you need some immediate cover, you can just pop that thing up, maybe drop a health pad or whatever you need to do, and then eventually bowl it over. It can't be targeted too well, so if enemies are moving in an open area, it's probably not going to be that beneficial. But it's a fun one to play around with. Did you get to the Petrify ability, Bob?
I haven't. No, I have seen videos of it, but the thing with the wall is, in the void, there's that really long corridor tile.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking when you're in trouble, you can use it in that corridor wall to just wall off the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Give yourself a bit of breathing space.
Definitely want to use that ability in choke points.
It's going to be a useless skill in useless hands.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Reversing that, in skilled hands, it's going to be an incredibly useful ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. Based on what I've seen, I don't see a whole lot of uses for it, But that's because I'm not very skilled with him yet because I haven't played him.
Yeah. I played around with the Petrify ability. I have Rumblers unlocked, but I didn't get a chance to mess around with that. Petrify, what I didn't realize at first is they're not immediately turned to stone. Like, it takes a while. It kind of slows them down, and eventually they get turned to stone. And I'll have to mess around with that. I kind of wish we had River here this week. I'm sure he would have.
I believe it's affected by strength. The higher the power strength, the quicker they turn to stone.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the build is. I know I was doing an interception with Rick earlier today, and he just put a new build on it, and that skill is amazing. Like, he was turning people to stone. It looked like Medusa's fucking garden. It was. I mean, there was nothing but petrified stone Grineer all around us for this entire interception. He was just walking around with his ability going, and we were just taking our time, taking him out. We didn't lose any points during the interception at all. That is an incredibly useful ability right there.
Here's what I'm curious about. Does turning them to stone kill them?
No.
Nope. It's kind of like Frost's freeze ability.
Would that
or
then
chill.
be a really useful raid ability?
Yeah, it would, depending on the duration that they stay petrified. I know that that even with Rick's build, he's probably mid tier on his mods, and they were probably staying petrified for maybe upwards of a minute at most. So I could see in tight spots maybe. What's that, Bob?
If the petrification state is duration based, I can see that being really, really powerful with one of the other changes they made, which is the duration-based toggle abilities. Because you can still get your efficiency, but also get your duration on your freeze.
Yeah, we'll definitely
going
to cover that later. Yeah, I definitely want to cover that later. But I mean, I guess there's neither one of us or either of us have played around with Atlas enough to be experts on it. So yeah, it's too bad River isn't here. His computer took a crap on him, and he's going to be out of commission for a week or two. So I hope he gets that squared away soon, and he'll be back with us. But until then, I guess We're just we'll figure out.
Yeah, I think he's one of those situational frames where, a bit like Ember, nobody's really gonna play him mainstream, but you're gonna get those people with the right builds on, and they're just gonna be brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of changes to Ember too. And I haven't got the chance to try that out. Like I said,
Well,
there's just so much in this patch.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing instead of Atlas. Is I've been messing with Ember because Ember's an old favourite of mine. So.
Well,
anyway.
what changes? I mean, I know that they made the number 4 ability. They made that toggleable, right? Or it's not duration based anymore.
That's no longer duration based. And I think that's basically the only change they've made. But because of that change, with primed continuity on, you can get your world on fire to last 7, 8, 9 minutes.
I know Stoybot said that his current build, he has 21 minutes of it.
Yeah, well, I think that's his record for the longest going, because you can, every time you pick up energy, you gain another 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, there's energy orbs. Give you 25 energy, it drains like 0.6 energy a second. So, I just cut out. So, yeah, you can, for every energy orb, you get sort of 30 or 40 seconds out of Ember for a world on fire. And the way I've been playing it is I've been adding the augment, the world on fire augment, and it knocks everything down, you know.
So it's like it's pretty good CC for.
It's incredible CC because it knocks them down, and then I've been seeing a lot of them get back up, and then a second or two later they get knocked down again.
Oh, nice.
So it's.
So,
yeah.
I mean, since we're talking about this, why don't we go into the I mean, I know we were talking about Atlas, but I mean, everybody's already seen the number 4 ability. They're like little rock pets, and they're pretty cool, but they are what they are, you know. Why don't we go into the toggle ability duration changes? I know that you've been experimenting with that, and you've got a pretty good idea of what's going on there.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah. I used Ember as my test bed for this. So the basic change is now duration affects efficiency on just toggle abilities. So now what happens is if you have 100% duration, it doesn't affect your efficiency at all. But if you have under 100%, it reduces your efficiency by in a 0.5 ratio. So every 1% of duration you have, it affects your efficiency by 0.5%.
Now, and to clarify, this is for toggled abilities only.
Toggled abilities only, yeah, with an energy drain.
Okay, so for instance, one of our players, we were discussing this in our team speak. He said, like, hey, why is my number 4 caliber, why is it ticking down so fast? And he didn't read the patch notes or take the time to consider those, so he had no idea the actual dynamics that are taking place in game that made his toggleable ability less efficient.
Main Warframes affected, you've got Banshee with Soundquake, you have Chroma with his effigy, you have Ember World on Fire, Mesa with Peacemaker, Mirage with Valkyrie, and I think Mirage with her number 4 as well.
And Mesa.
I've mentioned Mesa, and Nyx, Chaos. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I can probably make more. But,
so, basically, if you're using a toggled ability and that's your main stake in that Warframe that you're using, you want to have a minimum of 100 of efficiency or duration.
Yeah, you want 100% duration.
Because if you don't have 100% duration, then it starts cutting into your efficiency.
Yes.
But if you have plus duration, I mean more than 100% duration, how does that affect the efficiency?
Over 100% duration. So, for example, let's say you throw on narrow-minded, gives you 99%, 100% extra duration. So you're now sat at 200% duration. Well, anything over 100% gives you, again, in a 0.5 ratio, efficiency. So 100% extra duration will give you 50% efficiency.
Okay, so if you have a build, a toggle ability build, where you have, plus duration and plus efficiency, there's no negative there, right? Like that's how you want to build your toggled abilities now, with plus duration and plus efficiency.
Yes,
Because
basically.
it's giving you more energy, right?
Yeah. The slightly warped thing is, to get your you still can't go over your 75% efficiency, your 175. That's still the cap. So your abilities cannot cost less than 25% of the original.
Right.
But what you used to do is you used to just throw on fleeting expertise and streamline. 175%, done. End of. Well, fleeting expertise negates duration, which means that you then need to add a duration mod.
Yeah, so you need continuity or constitution or something in
because
there.
continuity only does 30% duration. Fleeting expertise is minus 60.
Oh, so you have to have primed continuity.
So primed continuity would be the one. But if you want to get it with 2 mods, if you want to get max efficiency on just the drain in your toggled abilities, so like you've activated World on Fire and the World on Fire drain, if you put a rank 8 narrow-minded and a maxed streamline on, that gives you 175 to 180% efficiency.
So for our build junkies out there, is this going to cost them more mods, less mods, the same?
Different mods.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is this basically, if you have a Warframe that uses a toggled ability, you don't want fleeting expertise.
Well, you do, maybe. Because the trade-off for narrow-minded, which is what we're replacing fleeting expertise off, is range.
Right.
There are some toggle abilities, I'm looking at Mesa here in particular, where you need the range.
But you're also talking about taking up an extra mod slot. I mean, this DE has definitely made this way more complicated than it needs to be. Not that, I mean, I can see the beneficial side on it, because like my Valkyr's number 4 ability lasts for freaking ever now.
Yeah. But Valkyr is the perfect example, because Valkyr does not need range. So if I was going for efficiency, I would go for my rank 8 narrow-minded and my streamline, and they have your 175% on the energy drain, not on the initial cost or the cost of any of the other abilities, at your 175%.
So from the new player perspective there, Trace, are you picking up what he's putting down? Do you understand this, or do you...
Well, fortunately, the night of the patch, Bob was up way too late.
No, I was up way too early.
You're up way too early, yeah. I'm like, what time is it over there? And he's like, oh, it's like 6 a.m. I'm like, that is crazy. And so he was explaining this stuff to me. And what I did is I took Ember into an Eris mission, a survival, with the World on Fire mod, which is the one that stuns. And I'm like, just tell me what to do. And he's like, okay, max out your duration and a little bit of efficiency, and let me know how it goes. And so I went into this mission. I dropped an energy pad. I didn't fire a shot. Now this is infested, so it's, I didn't fire a single shot on my heck. I just ran around and everything was stunned and dying. And I went in for a full 20 minutes. I didn't fire a single shot. And I mean, the enemies, I didn't think they didn't get above level like 38 or 39 or something. But I just kept picking up I had 450 max energy on my Ember, and I never got below 350. So
Wow.
I got the concept pretty quick. It's like, okay, for toggled abilities, I now need duration to make it more efficient. But if I'm a new player coming in and I don't have someone as smart as Bob, or I'm not in a clan, I'm like, okay, I want to make this ability as efficient as possible. I'm going to add efficiency,
Right.
But now that's not going to be the answer. So I think until people are established in the game and know some of these dynamics, it's going to be more confusing for some of these new players.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's something that's here to stay, if that's or if it's gonna get a little too problematic for the new players.
The
I mean,
benefit, I think, because this is something Bob and I were discussing, is you can now, like we were talking about Chroma. Before I could have an efficiency effigy build, or I could have a duration survival build using Chroma's number 3, right? Well, now I can have both because I'm maxing out duration, and it's the same for a lot of frames. So if they have a toggle ability and a duration-based ability, it's really golden for them.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
not, yeah, go ahead, Bob.
oh, I was going to say, I ran into a mission with my tank chroma from before 17.5, and I was getting 58 second on my number 2 and my number 3 ability. I was running a melee build, and when I needed to, because chroma's effigy drains 8 energy per second, not 8, 12 energy per second, I think. I got that down to about 8 or 7, purely based on a duration build. Now, about 40% efficiency with no efficiency mods is really quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I play with it a bit more, and I will probably swap out a mod for something like Streamline, throw Streamline in there, and I'll probably have a max efficiency and almost max duration build. So I'll be able to run around tanking everything whilst my effigy is still up, and I should have no energy issues.
The one downside is if you want, because the main way to get that duration up is narrow-minded, right?
Yes, that is true.
So that'll really kill your range. So I was playing around with the Equinox. I was doing some resource farming and just toggling the day number 4, which just stuns and kills everything. So I had to put a stretch on that, and maybe an overextended. So the challenge is you may have to take up an extra mod slot or two if you need that range on certain builds.
Yeah, I can see that getting pretty confusing. But it'll be interesting to see what workarounds people come up with for that specific thing.
I think it's just going to sort of emphasize the idea of not just having maxed mods on everything now.
Right.
Because you want a little bit more efficiency on your drain. Well, you throw a not completely maxed narrow-minded on there.
Maybe
so maybe a rank 5 or a rank 6.
Maybe this is the beginning of their whole model for trying to get rid of cookie cutter mods. This is the beginning of it.
The downside of that is it does make it I did try explaining it to a few of the other guys when it first came out, and it's really quite confusing to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah,
well, I will. We should probably wrap that up. I mean, there's a lot to talk about there, and I guess we play around with it for another week or so. We'll have more to say about it. So I know one thing that we did keep bringing up is Valkyr. So I would definitely like to talk about the new Valkyr skin. Have you guys seen it?
The new Valkyr skin is totally hot. Love it. Love everything about it.
Didn't mean you just instantly go and buy it, Trace, and then...
yeah, absolutely. And I bought one for River.
Yeah, we bought one for River because his PC isn't up yet.
I definitely, I dig it. I think it's pretty freaking cool looking. The ball gag in the mouth, though, it's a little strange, but it goes with the whole aesthetic, I guess. I definitely bought it. As soon as I logged in, that was definitely the first thing I did.
No, see, I haven't seen the ball gag because I've got one of the alternate helms on her.
I thought that was just the nose.
It probably is. I mean, I don't
Probably
really
is.
know. They're Warframes, you know. They're very, very weird looking to begin with, but in the front, you know, to me, it made me think of a ball gag in the mouth. But you know, for Valkyr, the one who was, you know, she was whatchamacallit,
Experimented on or whatever.
experimented on, and she was tormented and tortured. I guess the ball gag kind of fits there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think of all the people who I didn't get a chance to. I think I ran one mission with her. I think you ran a lot more. How do you like the new Valkyr changes?
Oh, it's night and day. I wasn't very much of a Valkyr player before, but this change has brought a lot of interest for me into using her a lot more. I think with the number 4 ability being toggleable, which is pretty amazing, and now with the changes that we were just talking about with the duration and efficiency, I can go forever. Just last night, which I have a feeling that this is going to get nerfed somehow soon, but I was able to go 60 minutes solo in a T4 survival last night, and I didn't even blink an eye. You know, I mean, it was completely easy. I didn't have any problems. I just ended up leaving because it got to the point where, you know, I was still able to kill enemies, but they just weren't dropping the backpacks for me to survive. So it wasn't a matter of me taking any damage or whatever the case may be. But you're pretty much invincible with her at the press of a button now, for as long as you want to be.
So besides that, there were a lot of changes to some of her dynamics. 50% knockdown recovery speed, no heavy landing, and can you talk much about? It says Hysteria now receives buffs from the player's melee weapon mods. Would you guys mind explaining that to the masses?
Yeah, this is something I tried to figure out. There, you know, people in our TeamSpeak channel, they were talking about Berserker having an effect on Valkyr's number 4. I wasn't able to come to a solid yes or no. It definitely does or definitely doesn't affect it. I do know that I was using a Skoliak. Not that the actual weapon matters; it's just the mods in your melee weapon that matters, I guess. But I was able to put a primed reach mod in my melee weapon, and then when I switched on to my Hysteria, I was able to take out nullifiers while I was in Hysteria without losing my Hysteria ability. You know.
I can see that getting nerfed quite quickly,
Wow.
maybe.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I kind of hope it doesn't, because that's a brilliant.
Well, see, that's what let me go to 60 minutes solo in a T4. You know how many? You know, once you stay there for 20 minutes, how many nullifiers keep coming at you?
God.
But if you're able to stay in your Hysteria and take out nullifiers all day, it's definitely got a nerf coming. But I mean that, as far as the Berserker, I don't know how much that affects it, but I do know that the primed reach definitely had an effect on her number 4 ability. And
Wow.
you know, as far as her knockdown recovery, honestly, I wouldn't know because I never got knocked down because I was in Hysteria the whole time.
Wow.
But you know, there are times where maybe I came around a corner and there was a nullifier there, and I kind of, you know, just fell into the bubble before I had a chance to react. And you know, I recovered quickly enough to get out of the bubble and put my Hysteria back on, and then take out the nullifier. So that knockdown recovery is definitely noticeable. You can get up real quick and hop into your hysteria at a moment's notice and carry on. So,
And before, Valkyr's hysteria was based on the weapon stats she was wielding, her melee weapon stats, right?
as far as I know,
Okay.
like I said before this change, I wasn't big into Valkyr. I didn't use her very much because it was always an issue with that hysteria not being toggleable. I had my duration up to like maybe 40 seconds or something at the time, the last time I played her,
Okay.
and you'd be right in the middle of the thick shit, and your hysteria would run out, and you'd be screwed. So I didn't really like using her all that much. Now with this toggleable ability, you can really decide when you want to get into the thick shit, and then if you're running low on energy, which really doesn't happen, but if you are running low on energy, you can sneak away to a dark corner and turn hysteria off, pop an energy drop, get back up to full energy, and then turn it back on and carry on about your business. So
Any thoughts from you, Bob?
I haven't really played with her too much. Kind of a yeah. Again, it's going to be a similar thing to my Chroma build because I tend to run an Eternal War and Prolonged Paralysis hybrid build with her. I use her for CC and as a melee frame rather than the Hysteria build. But I do have a bit of duration on there, so I might be able to get away with running Hysteria for a bit longer now.
I did get a kick out of the number 1 ability, the Rip Line.
It's fun.
Yeah, like I don't see it being. I mean, it is useful for getting places that you can't normally get, but with the Parkour 2.0 that came out, it kind of takes the necessity out of Rip Line. Like you don't need it to get places anymore. You can just jump off walls and climb walls and bullet jump to all these places. So now it's just kind of like I'm Spider-Man fun kind of thing,
Use it to troll any enemies.
Yeah, pushing
enemies.
People towards you. Yeah, enemies. Yeah, other players.
No,
you
do it with players. Yeah.
Oh, I'm familiar. I've ran with UK Pez quite a bit, and
Yeah.
have been rip lined more than I'd like to
I was
admit.
about to say the last time I ran with Pez, run up to a hacking panel and he'll run up right behind you and rip line you right out of the hack. But yeah, it's definitely I like the changes. And I definitely see a nerf coming soon, so enjoy it while you can. But if it doesn't happen, she doesn't get nerfed, then I'll be surprised, and I will continue to use her more now than I did before.
So, Valkyr got a skin, and so did Alicette.
They did indeed. I know, Austin, you and I got it right away, right?
I did. Yeah, I'm the cosmetic whore. I know that it's available actually in a rare crate. I found the blueprint, and I know that the rest of the parts drop in rare crates. So if you guys go on your raids and your void missions, anywhere you find a rare crate, the parts for the Mantis landing craft have a chance to be in those crates. As far as the skin, I think that it looks super cool, but I can't find a good color combination that I want to stick with yet. So
I picked up one just a couple hours before recording this podcast, and I'm just going with the classic red, white, and a dark gray. So pseudo AOD colors.
yeah,
Red and black. But
that's what I'm running with now.
I just like it because, and forgive how crude this may sound, but the other sets just reminded me too much of sperm cells.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, right? Because they're always like jettisoning towards something, together. And, it may be my profession for those who don't know. I teach sex ed to teenagers for a living, so every time I see those lisettes, I'm like, it's my day job.
You just ruined it for me now. Every time I look at that loading screen, I'm gonna think of sperm cells running towards an egg.
I might have to go find a
Swimming.
colour scheme now just to remind you constantly of it.
Just
Well,
like pale colors.
it won't, because now you have the mantis, so you won't see them little sperm cells running.
Did you get
So-
any of the mantis skins, by the way, or did you just get the mantis?
I just got the mantis because I wanted to check it out, but I think I'm gonna end up getting the one with the squiggly lines. I think that's gonna be my next purchase.
The Oscuro mantis skin.
Yeah. I think that one looks pretty cool. I'll probably end up getting that. But I gotta see. Like, there's part of me that, I mean, since the Lisettes came out, since these loading screens have been going on, every time I go into a mission, which is, how many times a day, I've saw them for the sets and the screen, and seeing the mantis there now it's change, and I've already discussed in the last podcast how much I don't like change. So it's weird for me to get used to, but I'm gonna try to stick with it and see if I can hold out and keep the mantis for a while. Either way, I'm gonna have to get used to it, because from time to time you're gonna see players pop on with their mantis skins. So
Has anyone seen the new Lisette do an airdrop? And how do you build that? Like, I thought I had a blueprint for it, but I don't know how to create those airdrop things.
yeah, so go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to say probably what you're about to say.
Alright, so there's a foundry segment that is the research is being completed in the dojo right now. So you go to the dojo, one of the labs has it, you purchase the foundry segment, then you go put it in your foundry, and then you already have the blueprint for the air support drops. So you craft, though, I think it costs 4,000 platinum, or not platinum, 4,000 credits for 10 of them. And then once it's crafted, you accept it, and then it gets put in your gear slot. And then you go to your arsenal. Then from your arsenal, you just go to your gear slot, and then equip that air supply drop in one of those slots. And then once you're in mission, you go to you hold down Q, go to your gear slot, pick the air supply again, and what you'll see is a laser. Basically, you won't see your Lisette. Like, if you're in a room that has a ceiling, you'll just see a laser touch the ground in front of you, and then a little tower pops up. It kind of looks like the life support things from the survival missions. It's a little bit bigger, but basically that's what it is. And then as long as your group members are around, then they'll get the buff, or they'll get the health, or whatever it is that you're requesting.
I can imagine we're gonna have some clannies trying to get a world record for T4 survivals. How long they can last solo with those suckers?
Well, it doesn't drop life support. It just drops health or whatever. I know that like I said, I think one of them gives you health, and one of them gives you maybe armor. I'm not positive on that, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I do know that it doesn't drop life support itself, so you can't go to a survival and request life support. And it's not like Darvo is selling you life support things like he tried to do last time he ran that survival. So I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of use in it. I think it's just more of a novelty, something that might be cool to have. But it's kind of like the camera thing that they have in the market now, where you can throw the camera and take pictures of yourself and stuff. It's more of a novelty than it is useful. So
I like that it brings some use to the Lisette, but I've yet to try it, so I'll have to hold out on that one.
Oh yeah, one more thing I just want before we get off the Lisette and the Mantis, I just wanted to mention that when you change to the Mantis, unfortunately, it doesn't change the interior of your ship. So, people that there might be some confusion there. Whenever you change your landing craft to the Mantis as opposed to the Lisette, you still, when you're walking around your ship in between missions, it's still the same old Lisette. With the upstairs and downstairs looking, the arsenal and foundry, it's all the same. So I was kind of hoping to see some change there. It would have been nice to have some option and kind of, just something different.
A kitchen area, a living room, place
Yeah,
where you put your feet up.
I wanted a recliner,
Yeah, a couch, because Ordis keeps going on about us not having somewhere to sit.
Indeed. All right, well,
So-
let's transition to all of our Draco fans. Waterfalls of tears. We had some changes to Mesa, didn't we?
Yes.
About time.
Yeah. This is another one of them things that where for me it falls under the realm of there was so much stuff in this update that I missed out on this part. So I really don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I ran one mission with Mesa just to see how it was, like a survival. I think it was an alert, just to see what it was like. And it's basically how the devs described it. Her number 4 slowly gets narrower and narrower. It's a big cylinder on the screen that slowly like tightens, almost like an old school movie closing, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And really gonna put the whole take of Mesa to Draco. It's basically completely nerfed, which I think is a great change because a lot of people would just go to spend their whole time leveling up stuff in Draco. I guess the most prominent dynamic that I noticed is I'm a lot quicker to press 4 on and off because the area collapses so quickly that it's only useful for maybe 5 to 10 seconds before you really have to start targeting with it, and it makes the whole area of effect aspect of it much more limited in regard to time frame.
So no more pressing 4, putting your finger down and turning your brain off, huh?
Exactly.
That's awesome. I know people are going to be crying about this, but God forbid they have to play the game.
I've actually never done a Draco. I think I've done it one time the Mesa way, and every other time I've run it, it's been the normal way. Bob, did you get a chance to play around with Mesa at all?
I haven't played around with Mesa, but reading through the patch notes, it seems like it's a good thing.
Here's the good and the bad with the Mesa changes. The good is it's no longer +4 or just press 4 to win. The bad is to get the best efficiency. We talked about needing narrow-minded with the toggle abilities, right? The challenge for Mesa is you need range with her number 4 now. So you have to put on a stretch or an overextend it and maybe take some hit to strength to get the best range out of the ability. Now the benefit is her number, 3?
Shatter Shield.
Shadow Shield lasts forever, which is phenomenal. So you have a lot of survivability in that respect. So all in all, I think really good changes. But it's no longer the solo a defense mission.
Did they take the duration off of her number 3?
No, it's just a lot longer now because you have to add duration for efficiency. We talked about that.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the Shatter Shield lasts for a really, really long time.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't play Mesa all that much. I did like when she first came out and stuff, and I thought she was a great frame, but I always thought she was a bit OP. And of course, we could go on for hours about how Draco is such a bad thing for the game. But that's just from my experience. I see, we have tons of members in AOD Warframe Division, and I see a lot of the newer players. They come in, which, by the way, if you guys are listening, we welcome all new players, older players. You know, it doesn't matter what your mastery rank is. Just go ahead and apply on our website if you're interested. But as I was saying, I see a lot of newer players come in, and they learn about Draco, and they burn themselves out so fast that they lose interest in the game because they just level everything up. And I think that if this puts a stop to that, and people actually play the game for what it is now, it's a huge improvement on the longevity of the game, and DE is definitely gonna see the benefit to doing what they should have done a long time ago.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
I guess that keeps it a little simple for Mesa. You know, I mean, her Peacemaker is fixed. Yay.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call her overpowered, it was just so easy. Like, it was just.
Well, that's what overpowered is, isn't it?
No, because like Valkyrie, Valkyrie without the range is easy, but not overpowered. I don't know. I think personally, I wouldn't call something overpowered if it's easy. It's just now she actually has to synergize with stuff to become as useful as she was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to see. Like I said, I haven't played this yet. I haven't seen the changes. I haven't even witnessed it because I haven't grouped with any mesas. But now that she does have this, this cone thing that comes in, what I would definitely like to see is the ability to walk while you're in Peacemaker. It doesn't have to be like a full sprint run or anything, but some mobility. I mean, considering how big of a nerf it is, it would be nice to have a little bit of mobility while you're in it. But I don't know that would ever happen. It's just something I'd be interested in seeing.
Yeah, probably.
All right, moving on to the tactical alert this weekend. Did you guys run that at all?
I did. How about you, Bob?
They've taken away my shiny.
Yeah, you're not the only one with a Snipetron anymore.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I have had a Snipetron since before it was removed, obviously.
They know, Bob.
Yeah.
They heard you
I will
in every
repeatedly
episode.
tell them. So I am now one of the few people in the clans with a built Snipetron and a Snipetron blueprint, and that is the way it shall stay. No, it was a nice tactical alert, if I'm honest. It was, I quite liked the idea behind the tactical alert, the lore.
What's the lore behind the tactical alert?
I've forgotten, but it's Grenier and Corpus fighting each other because they're both after the same thing. And there's somebody else caught in the middle, if I remember correctly.
There are some really good and rarer mods that were dropping in that alert too. What did you guys pick up?
I didn't pick any. I mean, I got like some of the toxic mods, like Voltaic Strike and stuff like that. But I know that there's quite a few people in the clan that picked up a Temple Royale from the Bursas. And I know that there's also quite a few people from the third mission that were picking up the Rift Sigil, which is what hasn't been available since that acceleration tactical alert we had, or escalation tactical alert we had a couple months back. I picked up another Rift Sigil. I don't know how it's possible that I have two, but and I don't know how people were getting it, but it's been a mystery in the clan, in the TeamSpeak, since people have been getting it.
Mm-hmm. Just one clarification: the Voltaic Strike you picked up is actually an electrical mod. It's not Virulent Scourge. That's the Toxin one that drops. Corrupted Alad V. So the Voltaic is actually that's event or trader only, correct? Because it's electrical.
I'm not sure actually. I think maybe I just got the mod wrong.
Because I know Jolt, right? That's event or ducat trader only. And I know
Yeah.
Jolt was dropping. High Voltage was dropping. I got 2 of those. Shell Shock was dropping. So those are not normally available in game. Am I right in saying that? The
No,
electrical
you're
ones?
right. It might be available through spy missions.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
pretty
sure.
sure, but they're the rarer ones. But
I
they were
thought
dropping
for
quite commonly.
spy it's only toxin, cold, and fire. But I could be completely wrong on that. But that was my understanding. I think someone explained it to me.
I don't know.
Either way, they were dropping quite commonly, which is really useful.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I picked up 5. Actually, I'm looking at my my modding section right now, and I picked up 5 voltaic strikes.
Nice.
So, yeah, and that's just running. That was just from the 3rd mission. One thing I did like about this tactical alert is that you could run each section of it separately. Like, the first mission was a spy mission, and I didn't know it, but normally in the past, what it's as you advance through your tactical alert portions, you couldn't repeat the first mission. And something they did different in this tactical alert is they kept the different phases of the tactical alert on the planets. So each 3 phases were on a different planet or a different node. And now, even if you've completed the 3rd step in the tactical alert, you could go back to the 1st step, which is on a different node, and do that part. So you could do the spy mission over and over again.
I had one question on the alert. The tile set was used. Was that a unique tile set? Because I don't recall ever seeing that before. Where
There
else was
were
that
a few change bits. They are invasion missions.
Okay.
Yep. Any of the missions that you use to get the G3 mark or the Zanuka Hunter mark, that's the ones that you do 5 of versus 3. Like
Right.
sometimes you have to run 3 missions in order to get the Organ Cell or a Catalyst, and the ones that you normally run 5, those are the same maps.
Okay.
So nothing was different as far as the tile sets, but one thing I did see I liked is they had a whole bunch of new Grenier, the Night Watch, and they had the Bailiffs.
Yes.
Those Night Watch Bailiffs were fucking tough. Did you guys not have trouble with those?
I
remember
didn't
fighting the
particularly.
Night Watch. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I ran through it, and I ran through with my nunchucks with a finisher build. So every time I came across something, I sort of blast damaged them onto the floor and then sort of repeatedly smashed them on the floor. So they didn't exactly get a chance to fight back.
Oh well, I know that I had trouble with the Bailiffs. I like them. I think they're cool. They're cool looking. Speaking of old tactical alerts, remember that one tactical alert we had where we had to protect the Grenier guy? That was what the new Bailiffs are. So it's kind of cool that they brought those back.
I said about the lore that I'd forgotten. We were sent, spoiler warning, before. Oh no, actually, it doesn't really matter now. Somebody sent us a message saying, "Help, need extraction, we'll trade for treasure," which we then tracked down to the first mission. And we go through, and he keeps sending us stuff like, "Thanks for the assist." His name's Maru, or the person's name is Maru, and he got the Corpus thinking the Grenier were ripping them off for tech, and so they started fighting each other, and then he got us to intervene and wipe them all out.
That's the guy from the Stolen Dreams quest, ain't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't pick up on that. So
That's the lore behind it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good tactical alert. I know that I enjoyed farming the burses, although it wasn't really worth it because I never ended up getting Temple Royale. But it was nice to get a chance to farm the burses for a while. And I
Mhm.
know that Trace, you follow the market quite a bit. So how are we looking on the price for Tempo Rail? I noticed that it's kind of dropped, huh?
Yeah, I mean, between this weekend and I guess it was last weekend, right? When the other event was going on with the verses.
It was that
I
2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, something like that. So I've seen, I watch a lot in regard to what people are offering to buy and sell, and I saw a lot of people, asking for tempo for 100, 150, and to my surprise, I saw a lot of people asking to sell tempo for 200 to 250. And a month ago, that thing was selling for 300, 400 all the time. I think flipped a couple. I bought it 200, flipped it 400, bought it 250, flipped it 400. I think twice. And to see that drop, I always think that's a good thing for the super rare mods to get a little bit more supply. I think only 1 or 2 people in our clan picked up a tempo, this weekend. So it's good that there's still a lot of rarity, but at the same time, I always think it's really healthy for a market to have a little more infusion of supply on the very, very rare items, because it helps, the players who may not have as much plat, kind of stay on the same level of players who do acquire more plat.
Right. Yeah. So since you keep an eye on the market and all that, well, I was wondering if you want to just for any of the guys listening, give them a good little heads up, or tell them what you want to tell them about the market.
Sure. So I would say recent market news that I've seen. Of course, we all know what's on its way out the door here in a couple days. We got Ember Prime. What else? Glaive Prime.
And
Sycorax.
Sycorax.
Okay.
So long,
So
Sycorax.
yeah, I've seen trade chat blow up with those. Ember Prime used to sell for 100, 150, and
Oh
now
man,
there's
I used to sell my full sets for 30 platinum.
oh my gosh. And now already, I mean, there's offers to buy and sell for 200, 300, for Ember. Glaive Prime blueprints, that's your big hot item because all the other Glaive parts were, I mean, they were ducat fodder, but I think the blueprint is what, T4 interception, T4 exterminate, something like that, of where it dropped. So
Yeah,
there's
I'm
a
not sure.
huge, yeah, there's a huge demand now for the Glaive Prime blueprints and Sycorax receivers. I think those were the rare parts for the Sycorax. Um, those tend to be in higher demand. So if you have any of those parts and you want to make some pretty easy plat, jump into trade chat and put up a want to sell. I think Frost is still in extremely high demand. Those sets are selling for, and I talked to other traders during the day. I've sold plenty of Frost sets between 400 and 500 really easily. I've met a couple players who sold for 600. One of our other clans sold for 580. And the challenge for Frost is systems. If you have a Frost systems, you're sitting on gold. Blueprints are also really, really rare. Helms and chassis, there's still plenty of them. And so as that supply has dropped up or dried up for the systems and a bit of the blueprint, people are having a difficult time putting a full set together, which is why the price for that set. And it's just there's so much utility for the frame. It's usable in any defense, mobile defense, excavation, and it's just a really fun frame to play. So I would say those are probably the market highlights. Oh, and lastly, and I know I've been talking for a while, but lastly, Trinity Aura Helms. Those went from selling for 50 to 75 plat. I sold 2 today for 225, and if I hung on to them a little longer, I probably could have got a little bit more. And that is the arcane helm that increases duration at the expense of health, I believe. And for people who love running the Paladin Trinity builds with that very, very long duration of damage reduction, it's going to be a really hot item because the new Prime access is right around the corner. And all signs point to Trinity Prime with the new video that was released.
I think we've had confirmation because there was a bug in 17.5 releasing them early, I think we've had confirmation of Trinity Prime and Dual Karma Primes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting close to our deadline here, and we try to keep it under an hour and a half. But one last thing I wanted to bring up, just a quick mention. Have any of you guys messed with the new GUI for the arcanes, the arcane enhancements?
No, and only for previously discussed, I have all the arcane helmets, and I feel getting the arcanes themselves is just a waste of time going through all of the blooming raids to get them.
Yeah.
I think I have one arcane. I think it's a trickery, and I haven't even messed with it from the one raid that I did. But tell us about it.
Well, with this new update, basically what they did was they took all the cost involved with putting arcanes in and taking arcanes out. They took that cost away, and they took away the time that it is involved in doing that. So basically, if you have enough reputation in a syndicate to buy arcane distillers for 50k rep, which is relatively cheap. I mean, that's 2 mods. You can get an arcane distiller, and let's say like me, I have I had the Uru Sayandana maxed out with 10 guardians. I bought an arcane distiller for 50k rep. I went to my foundry. I went to the arcane button on the bottom right hand side, and I was able to remove all 10 of them with one distiller, and then I was able to put them all into another Sayandana, one of the newer ones, in the matter of less than a minute. And it was all complete. It didn't cost me anything except for that distiller. And now, if like me, I have all the syndicate mods, so I don't do any syndicate stuff. It's mostly I buy void keys, or void key packs. But instead of me buying void key packs, which are just building up and building up, I can buy distillers now, and I can trade out my arcanes on the fly. So, Trace, for you, even if you only have one trickery, it's worth you going to your foundry and just putting it in, see if you like it. I mean, it can't hurt to have it there. And if you don't want it, you just take it out. I mean, it makes it so simple, and it makes it all those trips to the raids and all these arcanes. It makes it worth it because there's no sacrifice of time or credits involved.
Because before, once it was on a Sayandana or a helm, it was permanent, right?
Initially, it was permanent, and then I think a couple of weeks back they came out with the distillers, but the distillers still cost 100k rep, which is a lot. I mean, that's a secondary weapon with any syndicate right now, so that's still a lot of rep. And then on top of that, it costs like, I think it was 200,000 credits, and then you had to wait 12 hours for it to remove. And also putting it on, it cost 200,000, and then you had to wait 12 hours to put it on. So it was a big waiting game. When you're talking about putting 10 arcanes on one Sayandana, you're looking at 4 steps in that process, and that was 12 hours for each step. So you're looking at 2 full days of just the process of putting them on, and then taking them off. It was a pain before, but now it's so simple. And I love it. I mean, it totally is going to change the value of the arcanes, because people are going to be more accepting to putting them in and taking them out. And like I said, I have 2 sets of guardians, so 20 arcane guardians. And what I do now is I have my one Sayandana that I use on pretty much all of my warframes. And if I'm using a certain warframe for a certain mission that is challenging, I can just take my 10 arcanes out of the Sayandana that I'm not using, and then put it on a helmet for the warframe that I'm using, and that way I have 2 arcanes in one setup. I mean, and you know, it doesn't have to be the same arcane, but you can have, you know, you could have a full set of arcanes on one of your helmets and your Syandana without any real consequence other than your 50k rep, which if you're in my situation, I'm just burning syndicate rep anyways, because I wear the sigils, you know, anyways, and I just gain it passively. I gain that reputation passively, so I might as well spend it on stuff that I use. And being able to switch out my arcanes on the fly like that is wonderful.
And I think that'll give like people like me. I've done one raid, and part of me that the reason I didn't do more of it was, well, I don't think that this is worth it. You know, spending so much time to get these items that it's, you know, so tough to move from one to another. That makes it a little more enticing for me to maybe try that.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it before, and it's worth it now. So anyone that's listening, if you have any arcanes just gathering dust in your inventory, just go ahead and put them on. I mean, it doesn't hurt to just give it a try, see if you like it, and then if it's giving you a stat that you can appreciate, then you know, go ahead and put more on if you get more. You know, if you're doing the raids anyways, it's only going to bring the value of your Warframe up. So it's going to make the experience better. I think this was a great move by DE. I'm glad they did this, and kudos to them.
Nice.
So, like I said, I just wanted to mention that in passing. But I think that you know, trying to keep it within our time frame, it's probably time to wrap up. What do you say, Bob?
Yeah, I was going to say that wraps it up nicely. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you for the support on the previous ones. Please do come and give us comments and on the forum and on the YouTube videos and anywhere else you want. So,
yeah, we really do appreciate the feedback. It's really nice, whether it's good or bad. You know, any feedback is welcomed.
And lastly, if anyone is in game and looking for a great clan, healthy gaming community, clanaod.net is our website, or you can find us in game.
So, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Take it easy, guys.
Later.
And gals.